Right then, we're gathered here for lesson number 2, part 2, but it feels like it's a bit of a lesson. So what did we learn? We'll do a recap. What did we learn in part 1? So we are looking at Land Rover Defender L663 headlights. So we learned there were 3 types of headlights. The basic LED, which has got this reflector. Then there's LED Premium, which has got this, it's got a diffuser here, and it's got the signature strip, and it's got the glass ball. And then we have got LED matrix headlights, which basically when you're driving at night you can have main beam on, but it's got the camera above the mirror and it takes out the main beam where it would be antisocial and you've got oncoming traffic. Well, what did we learn? Let's recap a bit more. So we learned that there's 2 connectors. The connectors are the same on all the headlights. The wires going to the same on all the headlights. We learned that the left-hand headlight has 4 more wires. We didn't learn, and what we've realised is those 4 wires are height sensors. So it's got the rear right and the front right, which is odd because it's on the left, a height sensor. So it obviously can tell if your mother-in-law gets in the back and it goes like this, it obviously knows father-in-law, other, yes, whatever, you know what I'm saying.
Relatives are available.
Other sources of gross weight are available. And it changes the direction, and so the headlights have to account for that. But it's slightly odd in that the headlight also has 2 sets of CAN, like high speed and low speed CAN, and LIN going into it. So I'm a bit confused why Land Rover, because on the CAN bus we know we can see the height signals. But anyway, that's between Land Rover and ZKW. That's, I think, who make these headlights, wasn't it? So in this video we are going to try and plug in a left and a right LED premium headlights. We are into our base Model S that was from factory fitted with these base LED headlights, and we are going to see if they work, power up and give any faults. And then we will do part 3 video where we will look at the much more complicated task of if it's possible to retrofit, because we know there will be software changes to fit the LED matrix, so you'll have to wait for me to work that out. Right, we haven't tried this yet, so we are going to do it now. So right, we have got a pair of headlights. Now, I'll put up on the screen again, we have worked out which part numbers are which for each of these types of headlights. So when you get a headlight, it has an engineering number, this LAB2, this number here, and this will tell you from this part number. I'll put the spreadsheet up quickly now and I'll put a link to it in the description. From this you can determine what spec the headlight is in terms of base, premium or matrix, whether it's left-hand drive US, whether it's left-hand drive the rest of the world, whether it's right-hand drive UK. So make sure you get the right headlight if you are going to attempt this upgrade. Right, so you've got this all open for me, Tyler. You clean the front, make it, Tyler. We've removed the dead birds. We did that in the last video. So we should be able to just get the right headlights. Right, so this one. So yeah, so this is the left-hand headlight, and this has the extra row of pins in the connector. So we are just going to throw that in here. So literally
it's a bit tricky.
Where's my connector gone, Tyler? Right, so let's just check.
That connector was full of mud as well.
Was it?
Yeah.
That's a good job we let it dry out. Right, there you go.
I struggled to get it off.
I don't know, people been using these Defenders for going off-roading, whatever next. Right, we'll bolt that in a second. Wash. Right then, bomb, bomb, bomb.
There's a technique to it I haven't figured out yet.
There's a technique you haven't figured out
yet? No, there is a...
There's an art.
There's one way they go in.
You've hidden the wires from me, Tyler. They're lush connectors though, aren't they?
Yeah.
They are really lush. They've got a really good...
Good CPA. Is that what it's called?
Oh, that's it. Now I've forgotten. There are, interestingly, Tyler, there are some adjusters on this. It looks like you can get a screwdriver down there, so you can do the macro adjustments on this. So it might be worth, if you are ever changing your headlights, to park up against a nice slotted garage wall. Get your car set up before you take the headlights out. Maybe mark on the wall. We weren't professional enough to do that, were we, Tyler? Although you can actually, to be fair,
got some marks.
You can see where they were before. Right then.
The car's probably moved since then.
Right, we'll get these bolted in quickly, get the keys, and we'll start it up and we'll see what's happening. Right, here we go. We're bolted in. We've closed the bonnet. So the car, let's see if it recognises any errors. Let's get in, start it up. Now, we only got one headlight. Right, so is that we've only got one headlight, it looks like to me. It's not on. So it's done a little, that one's working. But when we tried it, just the left one, it worked, didn't it? Control over that one. So let's just unplug that one, have that one just plugged in, just check that headlight works again. Check it hasn't been broken, and we'll go from there. Right, let's see what happens. Right, so we've now unplugged the left light, the right light, so let's just see if that works now. No, and that's not working on dip beam or main beam now, so maybe it needs the correct left light in to tell it everything's all right. Something is awry. Right, we'll have a look. We'll try swapping the left one back to the original one and just check the right one works. Right, take 4 are we on now? So we've got the original headlight in the left. Let's see if that will allow us to use the right hand one. No, we've got no dip beam, right? So what worked last week doesn't work this week. We've clearly upset something, haven't we, Tyler? Or that headlight is broken. Right, take 5. So we've actually put the car back to original now to see if there is something out with the driver on that one. Here we go. So we'll start it up. Right, so we are back to... We're back to square one. So the car is all okay. It's all happy. We've got high beam, low beam. When we change the left-hand headlight, it seems happy, doesn't it? But the right-hand one. Did we change the left-hand one or right-hand one in the first video? I'm pretty sure it's right, but we'll check. Because we've only just got the... Yeah, because we only just got the left. Right, let's have a think. Right, take 6. The original headlights both worked. We've now put the LED premium headlights both in. We disconnected the battery when we did that. We put both, and we thought maybe if we power the whole BCM up, the body control module, from sort of started with the headlights fitted, that might be better. So we disconnected the battery, fitted the LED premiums, put the battery back on, power it up, and what we've got now is interesting. We've now got both of them with this sort of dim beam. The main beam comes on fine, but I've now got a headlight error message. So there we go, we've got headlight fault detected. So they're clearly not happy with that. Right, can you fit LED premiums without any software changes in your base level Land Rover Defender? The answer is no. So I'm going to have a little quick go at seeing whether there is a setting we can change in the software that will enable these to work without a fault. Right, what are we up to? Take 8 or something now, I think, Tyler, haven't we? 7. Right. So what have we found out? We still haven't got into the CCF side of things, but what we decided to do was, I think it may be current draw, because that's what happens on the Discovery 4 when you go from xenon, halogen, or vice versa. The body control module sees a different current draw to what it thinks it should have. Now, we've tried the indicator as well. Now, the indicator, we get the fast flash in the cabin, so it's not drawing enough an indicator. And when we look, actually, these LED premiums have got a different indicator setup, because on these you can probably maybe just see there's a little hole at the back and there's a sideways pointing LED, but on the LED premium type that we've just rammed in the engine bay here, we can't quite see what's going on because it all sits behind a diffuser, but it seems to be drawing less current because it's giving us that fast flash. So talking of flash, we got our flash fluke ammeter, and it's got a clamp meter, and we've worked out which cable from the wiring diagram, and it's the purple cable. The big purple cable is the main power cable for the headlight. So we have done a little table, and what we're doing is we're going to try each of the headlights, and we're going to try and make a table of what current. So these are your 3 head types: LED, LED premium, LED matrix, and we're going to look at what current we can get on dip beam, main beam, side/DRL, and indicator. Now, we couldn't get with these in, we haven't got the dip beam to work yet, but I will map it, and when we do get it working, we'll be able to fill this table in. So we're going to have a look what our base settings were now. But the other thing that was quite interesting, wasn't it, Tyler, was the pattern that the headlights give. So we've only ever looked at the pattern on the garage door, but if you get your hands close to it, if you want to go and operate the car, Tyler, or you could use this handy YouTube box that we've got lying around. It's a bit disrespectful. You can see there that the pattern you get, I don't know if it'll come out on the camera, but you can see there sort of 10 distinct LEDs. That's main beam. Go back to the dip beam, but the dip beam, it's not powering them up at all. It's quite a feeble sort of pseudo almost side light dip beam, but we'll see if you can see that on the camera. Right, so that was the other interesting thing you can see, and it's interesting how those individual LEDs, as when you're close up, they're individual LEDs, but as you get further away, the optics is such that it gave you that beam pattern we saw in the part 1 video. Right, Tyler, we are going to put the LED original ones back in, complete our table, and then we've got to try and go to the dark side, haven't we? Yeah, let's go. Right, so take 8. So where are we now? So we have just done a table. Now, we haven't managed to get the LED premium to power up on dip beam, but there's some interesting stuff going on. The base LED headlights are giving 1.1 amp of current draw. The LED matrix are giving 1.9. But it's the same on dip as it is on main, because obviously with the LED matrix, the idea is it's on full beam unless it's being antisocial, and then it tells it. So that's quite interesting. But if we look at the main beam, the LED matrix is 1.9 amp. The LED premium is 1.3, which is actually lower current draw than the base LED. Now this is interesting because if LEDs are measured in efficiency, which is lumens per watt, so we know this is taking 1.3 amps times 12, but if these LEDs are the same efficiency, it would mean that on main beam you've got less output on your LED premium, if my rather crude measurements are to be believed. The side light is virtually indistinguishable on these two. We hardly registers on the current meter. But on the LED matrix, it clearly comes up at 0.2. So the side light DRL. Now, one thing we noticed, now this could be our setup, is that when we powered up, we've got headlights all over the wrong place. Where are we going? Yes, look at one of these. When we powered up the LED premium, just this sort of smiley smile lit up. When we did the matrix, the smiley smile and these 2 little sides lit up. So I'm not sure what's supposed to light up. Is that another differentiator on the LED premium? We will work it all out, but this is just our voyage of discovery. So that is that. The indicator also on the LED matrix was taking a lot more current as well. That was taking 0.4 amp versus hardly registering 0.1 amp on the 2 lower models. Right. Oh look, it's freaking out, Tyler. It's having a little moment to itself. It's really not happy. Right, let's continue. Right, take 9. How are we doing? We seem to be doing all right, don't we, Tyler? Yeah. So we're only doing this for R&D, for testing purposes, but it does seem that there may be some parameters you can change, and I'm not going to explain how to do it. I don't necessarily know how to do it, but there are some parameters you can change. Now, I think as time goes on, software will become available like there is for the older cars, which will make it able to do this sort of stuff from apps on your phone and stuff. But we will wait to review that as and when those get released. Right, so we have now got it in. Right, let's start it up, or at least turn the ignition on. It should just go with ignition, shouldn't it? Right, so you can look on the garage door. We now have dip beam. We haven't bolted the one headlight in, which is why it's a bit wonky. And then main beam, dip beam, and you can see we've got the full signature light lighting up, we have got the 2 bits there, we have got that. So this is the LED premium. Now one thing we wanted to check was how much current it's taking on dip beam. So just for our table, 1.6. So, which is more, which is weird. So you can see that it would appear that the dip beam does indeed take more current, and one would hope those watts will turn to lumen. So it does look like you're going to get a brighter beam. But the main beam, let's check the main beam again, Tyler. Maybe now that dip beam will stay on with the main beam. Main beam, what are we on now? 2. Ooh, 2.3. Whoa. So
all those other readings were without the dip on.
Yes. So obviously, yes. So this is now looking better. So you can see the LED premiums now. On dip beam, we are drawing an extra half an amp, which is almost an extra 50%, which is significant. And the main beam, we are drawing almost an extra, again, 0.5. It's actually the same difference as followed through these two. So you're on main beam. This is interesting. Now this we haven't got working properly. This may well change if we can work out ever how to get that to work. So right, so we have got it working. It can be retrofitted, but it does need. You will need to find someone that can do the software update for you. So if you're repairing a car or doing anything and you haven't got access to certain headlights, it is possible to fit different ones. But I'm sorry, it's not a plug and play. You can't just find some on eBay and buy them and plug them in. There is some specialist tools needed. Anything else you want to add, Tyler? Question. Tyler's got a question.
So if you have a flash one.
Tyler, can you hear? If you've got a flash one, go on then.
Yeah. You can interpret.
Yeah.
So if you've got a flash Defender.
Yes, with LED matrix.
And you smash them.
And you smash them.
You don't want to pay.
Big dollar.
For the matrix, and you think, oh, I don't care, they're just headlights.
Yes.
Can you then downgrade?
Don't know. Something else is going to add. Don't know. I guess it needs to be, the software needs to match the headlights, be it more or less current. Now, one thing we did want to also check was the indicators, because if you remember before in part 5, the indicators. What have you broken, Tyler? Right then. So let's just. So they're flashing fine, and in the cabin it is also flashing fine, and we have got no error messages on the dash. There's no headlight faults. We've got door is open and press parking brakes to start. So that is the only error faults we have got. So I'm going to leave it there. It's not going to be the news some people were looking for, but it might help other people, and it will certainly stop you going to buy lights hoping you can plug them in and not being able to. Right. Actually, I was just going to wrap this up quickly. Part 3 video will come. We will try and fit the LED matrix headlights, work out what we need to do, see if it is indeed possible. But you're going to have to give me a good couple of weeks to do that. We've got some other jobs to do. So we're going to put the car back together as is for now. And we will do some research and some reading and some testing. And we will come back and try and see if it's possible to get. Because also, I want to test the LED matrix headlights. I would like to tell you how good they are, so that if you are looking at ordering a Defender, then perhaps you want to tick that box. It's probably an option worth having. Is it? Don't know. And that's what we want to test. And we love to test stuff with our car, because then we can test it before and after and look at it on the wall and do all that other stuff. So keep watching.